Yes.
Welcome to the Soul Aligned Leader, the masterclass interview series on thriving as an awakened soul aligned leader, alchemizing your purpose, and embodying your gifts through your unique service-based business. We're so delighted that you're joining us on this powerful journey to help shift and align you deeper into your soul's work. I'm your host, Shirley Lohmaier, and today I'm absolutely delighted to have Jennifer Ackad joining me. Embodiment and transformational coach and international best-selling co-author, Jennifer left a successful mechanical engineering career in 2010 to follow her soul calling and live a life by design. Creatrix of the authentic woman you are, a transformation system, and co-creatrix of the Bloom movement, she has since then been accompanying women to create space in their body and in their lives in order to awaken the wisdom, truth, and answers they hold inside. Her mentoring programs are intimate containers where women gather to reignite their innate sacred power, reconnect to their intrinsic gifts, and ground in their essence. By honoring their deep desires and higher calling, women shift their lifestyle and activate their playground, manifesting a creative and fiercely aligned life as embodied souls whilst empowering others. They become the creatrix of their life and bloom into their gifts. Welcome, Jennifer. Wow, what a powerful introduction. And I feel like saying boom. Boom.
Hi, Shirley. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, it's great to have you and to connect. And I'm super excited to hear part of your story and, the depth of the work that you're doing. Great. So I love to start with a little bit about your own personal journey of to awakening to your soul.
Yes, sure. So, I mean, the first thing that comes to me is really when I got an awareness of the other frequencies existing. And I was traveling, backpacking in Brazil. And I remember, stepping out of the bus, in that nature reserve. And I felt something that was totally uplifting. I didn't have this vocabulary back then, but it really, really uplifted me. And I said, wow, I'm not on the same planet. That's just how my body interpreted it. And from that moment, my senses started to be super sharpened. I started having tons of downloads. I started seeing situations from a totally different angle. And I knew something was happening to me and I couldn't put words to this, right? And of course, there were moments I thought I was going crazy and all of this.
Absolutely.
I think we all kind of went through this. But then I understood that it was some kind of, awakening. At one point, I was like, okay, this is what's happening and I need to totally shift my life. And I understood and understood that the way I had been living was not necessarily the only way. And somehow I had never asked myself this question before. I told myself, well, maybe I didn't have to get married. Maybe I didn't have to have a career as an engineer. Maybe I didn't have to, only have the path of having kids. And somehow I hadn't really asked myself these questions sincerely before. And it made me re-question all my playground and it shifted my life. Of course, I started having way more aligned answers and I started shifting my life based on these answers that I was receiving coming from this other timeline, that was coming to me. But I didn't have the words back then, but this is what was happening. And from there, yes, I found myself in a spiritual community here. I mean, I live here now. I'm in Pachamama Eco Community.
Beautiful.
That's 13 years ago. And then I left engineering and so on. The path took me,
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that's why I love each speaker sharing, because we do go through this phase where we think we're a little crazy and it's not all pretty when we awaken. So I love for people to share that because it just makes it real, and
yes.
So beautiful that it really led you to that point of questioning and knowing that you could have everything that your heart and soul desired.
Yes, and it's a journey, like you say, like some moments, come with doubt and chaos and all of this. But, the more we go and we keep on going forward and the soul pushes us and we feel guided, the more we have kind of proof that something is working. It is working.
Absolutely.
It is working. We are guided. We are supported. We are provided for. And this is not just woo-woo language that I read in the book. It's, as we bow to this calling and we take the actions, we do see things changing. We do feel our inner world changing. We do see our thoughts totally shifting, and our frequency shifting too. And we also see the impact it has on others, and then eventually on our clients, if this is a path that we are being guided to have structures to help others.
Absolutely. And I love what you're saying about our energy shifting, because I know you talk a lot about grounding and grounding it from within, which is obviously, yes, the grounding for that shifting. So can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. I mean, the first, again, thing that comes is, without a proper ground, without proper roots, you cannot fly high. And most probably people on this call have heard this before on this watching this interview. So grounding, what can I share about grounding? First, it's about having resiliency of the nervous system. If I speak a more tangible language, the nervous system it's important that to welcome all this soul potential, this soul frequency, that the nervous system has enough resiliency to be able to allow this to circulate, just like an electrical system. So absolutely. The ground, again, like an electrical circuit, is used to discharge all the overload. It's to make the system feel safe.
It's the earth.
It's the earth.
Yeah.
It is the earth, and our ground is our connection to Mother Earth, to reality. So I insist a lot on bridging from fantasy, from dreams, from visions to reality. And the channel to this is the ground. And physically, it's our pelvis. It's for the women, our womb, our legs, our pelvic floor. It's very important to be aware and to have a very intimate connection with this part of our body, to be able to give birth to sustainable projects, to projects that are going to have the required support, where you, as a space holder, you're going to have enough energy also to provide and to be provided for also for this project and this baby. So it's really kind of a birthing process, and the grounding, I cannot insist enough on how important it is. Every time in my life where I didn't feel really grounded, either my projects were collapsing or my collaborations also, or they were not providing, meaning they were not, I was not receiving income for this. I was receiving tons of symptoms of, hey, okay, I'm not 100% grounded. And when you're in front of somebody and you speak from a place of ground, they feel it. There is a vibration coming from ground that makes the person in front of you feel very safe.
Absolutely. And it's authentic, very authentic.
It's super authentic, super true. It cuts the BS out, honestly. It's and it's primal. We don't often speak about primal, but primal is very instinctive. It knows. The body always knows what is in alignment and what is not. It's just we have learned to shut that voice and to shut the texture of anger, let's say, that always is a communicator of, hey, get out of this situation. It's not aligned. So it's all about becoming intimate with this energy, this potency that's sometimes is in the texture of anger. But if we go behind the anger, it's potency. It's just pure power. It's just pure vital energy that is always here to guide our physical steps, our body, into alignment with a highest calling. So it's always oiling our machine. That's just my engineering way of saying it,
Yeah, that's beautiful, for sure. And also I hear you saying that the nervous system is a really strong part of that grounding. As much as we're grounding it in our lower body, which is our physical root, it's really important to ground your nervous system. So I think that's a really important thing for our listeners, because people are so hyper aware and hypersensitive at the moment.
Yes.
Do you have some tips or some thoughts around that, of people grounding themselves or their nervous system?
Yes, I mean, for sure. Every time you bring attention and presence to your pelvic space, to your roots, to your legs, to your feet, even as simple as when you walk, to drop your weight and to walk feeling the base of your feet. As simple as this can have a shift.
Absolutely.
To be aware when you're walking, and you might not have the same pace as your day-to-day, but you're going to have a more organic pace, something that is more connected to the truth of your connection with Earth.
Yeah.
And it will realign you. Nature takes care of you, and it will really release you from all the bounds with things that are not true in your life. The more you practice this simple principle of having gravity work on you, and have Mother Earth support you in any type of postures that you're in life, it will create already a shift. If that's one tip that I can give, it would be this. Whoops.
Whoopsie.
Yeah. Yes.
No, that's fantastic. Many of the simple things are the most profound. That's the truth of it, you know. And many people living in their head, they have to ground. Yeah, it is a choice. Absolutely.
It is a choice. It is a choice to include this, let's say 10, 15 minutes even per day will have an impact.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you. I can really resonate with that in my own life, and you know, starting to align with the natural cycles, which also aligns you to the universal laws, and you step into a different paradigm.
Yes, you become really a creator, a creatrix when you are in this, because you're more sensitive, you're more open, and you receive information coming from a different place than only this mind level. All your body, when your nervous system is grounded, it's entering more its natural capacity to receive information and not be an overload. So the filter is more clean, and you can actually hear more of what is the aligned information, and you operate at a totally different level, more quantum, if I can say that word, like more, it's very subtle information, and it really tells you go there and do this, but it's not the same density as when it's an overload in the mind of stress. It has nothing to do with this. It's very soft. It's a lot more calm.
Absolutely. I fully resonate with that. Thank you. And so grounding yourself and starting to practice that and step into that embodiment, then I think automatically leads you to a place of needing to upgrade your environment and your lifestyle and your let me use your word, your playground, and those choices that you make. So can you talk through some of that, and maybe some tips on how to do that?
I mean, I'm going to be honest, this is usually where most people quit, when it's about changing the playground. So they can have the awareness, they can connect to themselves, they can gain clarity on their vision, on their calling. But when it comes to actually doing it, which bridges to really reality, a lot of people quit. And it's just, this is being human, because it requires courage, willingness, commitment, consistency. And so you have to make this choice at this turning point. Once you make it, then yes, your life shifts. For example, me, one of the biggest playgrounds that I left is the engineering world, which was my stability, my financial security, my whole career, my status. So this is one playground that I shifted, and it really, really propelled me into the unknown. So through the whole grounding of the nervous system, I learned how to be comfortable in this unknown. Absolutely. And how to not be in an overload of stress. And obviously I learned a lot through my body about, how to navigate in the unknown, and how to also pay attention to the body, because sometimes we make leaps of change that the body cannot handle, actually. So we have to really pay attention to what is the right dose of shift, right?
Absolutely.
And
because then we can't ground it.
Because if it's too much information, and especially in fear, and I can go detailed in this, but if we have too much fear in the body, it's just we are bathing in toxins in the body, and we cannot ground it. So we lose the clarity, we lose the compass, and we're just spinning. So we have to accept that we need some compensations. But the beauty in this is when we are conscious and we're like, okay, well, I need a little bit of this. Let me go get the contract in engineering for 2 days per week. It's just going to give me the dose of ground I need from an external source, but I need it. I need it for my nervous system. Then in the meantime, I'm building my new playground. Absolutely. So there are ways to balance everything. And I had to do the huge leap for 3 years and totally leave everything behind to learn about this, that it's so important to accelerate and to go faster, to really take the right dose in every step of the way.
Yeah.
And I mean, different playgrounds now. I live mainly in Costa Rica. So at one point I needed to choose a place in nature. So I live in nature when I'm in Canada, and I'm mainly living also in nature now. In Costa Rica, in a spiritual community where it's high vibe. And I know that it's not everybody who's going to be called to create these playgrounds, but it's authentic playgrounds. So where do you feel called? When you see that you're resetting and rebirthing into a next layer of authenticity. What is this new version of yourself needing? What is she or he requiring? And for me, it looks like this, and different things, but it's a constant listening and a constant kind of changing. And some playgrounds last longer than others, and we can, build on this and until the next call comes.
Yeah, absolutely. I really love how you're sharing this, actually the embodiment of the process of transformation, which is exactly what you do. I mean, you're standing in your soul purpose, and you're sharing your codes as you share, because it's through that deep grounding that you've gotten the space to just envelop change and to just be in constant co-creation with source energy, and that energy flowing to you and responding to it, right?
Totally. Yes, it's creating space in the body gives you access to all these whispers, and we surrender to this. We bow to this. Our mind is going to resist most of the time.
Absolutely.
Our mind is hooked on concepts, ideas, on shoulds and shouldn'ts, on personalities that we are attached to. But the price to pay when we follow the mind is way more than jumping into that next layer of unknown or bowing to the calling. We pay with our life force and our energy when we don't follow the calling, and we feel it right away. We somehow become stressed or anxious, or we start being super, super, super tired. But on the long run, because when we shift playground, of course, it requires energy, and sometimes we have some detox symptoms that, like we need to integrate. So, sometimes we're going to sleep for like 12 hours in a row, or 24 hours. We need to be in bed to integrate the new frequency in our body. That's one thing. But when there's a symptom that is recurring, depression, anxiety, insomnia, consumption, addiction, all of these are symptoms that are like, it's an alarm saying, hey, look inside. There's something that's wanting to talk to you. There's something that's not aligned with your soul. There's something that's not aligned with the highest calling in your heart. Pay attention. And when we do pay attention, the answer is here. And then it requires this vow of saying, okay, I'm going to let go of this addiction. I'm going to let go of this relationship. I'm going to change countries. I'm going to leave that corporate job that I don't want anymore because my soul is not thriving. It's not excited. My spirit is not excited anymore. And excitement doesn't need to look like a big party, it's excitement is something that we feel vibrating in the body. We just know inside the body when something is
not right,
on point. Yes,
not aligned, for sure. And absolutely. And I love how you're saying there, because this comes back to what you raised earlier, where you were like, this is the point where many people can fall off the path, because you get to this point, I guess it's a dark night of the soul, where you just can't handle that level of density anymore, and you have to shift. But the universe also requires you to take that step before the ground is there beneath your feet again, right?
Yes, exactly. It's there is a saying around this. I can't remember, but it's there's a beautiful sentence around this. I can't remember, but it's really about being a steward. The universe shows up when you take that first step, and it's always there, but it needs to feel your commitment as an embodied soul. Without the embodiment, it will just stay fantasy. And I'm sure you too, we witness a lot of people being frustrated because they feel called, but then there's this friction of like, what's happening? Why is it not working? And most of the time it's because there's a non-acknowledgement of reality.
An illusion.
An illusion. Absolutely. Living in an illusion. And I totally understand, because we do feel stuck sometimes in the human aspect of things. And we go into some dreamland. And we think
it's our escapism just to protect ourselves in that moment.
It's exactly, it's that escape mechanism, and it can be satisfying for some people. But if you really want to bridge that dream with a reality and that it really becomes your life, then these steps are required.
Absolutely. So then I kind of like a natural flow for me in terms of what we're talking about is, once you've really, say, made that transition and stepped across your bridge and started to embody your soul essence and the new version of you, it's then about flowing into your gifts, right?
Totally. That's
Yes,
the
the
bloom
bloom.
phase. Oh, I
Absolutely.
love that frequency of blooming. Like just saying it, my womb is like opening like this. I really feel it. It's a different
100%.
texture.
Mhm.
And probably the people feel it right away. There's more this, joy coming and ease, and there's this feminine essence coming out of like the blooming, because you at this point on the path, it's your power, your value, you are safe, you have navigated the unknown, and it's a question now of like being the flower that you are and transmitting and creating the appropriate structures for that transmittance to happen in whatever way it is, communities, family, your business.
Yeah. Hi, Jennifer.
I'm here.
There you are. I knew you'd be back.
Yes. Yes, I was here. Something happened,
Oh,
but
sorry, it must have been me, perhaps.
no
Um,
problem.
so yeah, you were talking about the essence of this blooming and creating whatever it is in your community, your business. That's the last part I
And
heard.
also being in the flow, in that flow of the masculine and the feminine, and it's a different. We really become the creatrixes or creators of our life. Once this whole phase of transformation, and there's always healing, but at one point we ground on something that is different than the healing part. We ground in the power, and the power is always propelling us to create.
Yes.
Right.
And that's unlimited source. Absolutely.
Unlimited source, going at a faster pace, receiving, knowing your worth, and really being in that flow. Really being in that flow. And channeling your attention always in that creation. So we don't bring attention to the healing so much anymore. Even if the healing happens, it just goes faster because right away we take that attention and invest it in the direction of what is being created through us.
Absolutely.
It becomes always that choice. Okay, I want to see creations happen. I'm building. I want to be in that flow of constant energy and life force. And that becomes a life. It is a lifestyle.
Absolutely. And I think that's really important, especially for, like I said, with a lot of people that I work with, when they're stepping into this space, they want to do an extra course because they're still worried if they don't quite have enough knowledge, and that's the difference between stepping into using your healing and sharing it as a gift straight away for someone else. And then you're just flowing through it. That's an important part.
Yes, I love that you shared this because everybody's wondering, not everybody, but many ask themselves the question, what are my gifts? And the gift is you, The gift is you. It's your essence, and it's the path that you have walked. You share it with others at different levels of the journey. And it's
exactly it's
offer yourself,
the shadow that you've walked, the shadow that you've walked through is your gold.
Exactly. And that's why life put you on the path of walking it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
And I also feel, for me, if I take that down to sort of a business sense, that's when you're really operating in an entrepreneurial way, because you're moving in a place of change all the time, and you're kind of emulating what you're learning, and it's coming from out and in and out and in.
Yes, and it has a different quality than reading a book and taking the content of a book and putting it out.
Absolutely.
The texture of it is it's really activating. It's really a transmittant because it's always true. It's always in the moment. What is the information that is coming through me, and that can be shared? It's always based on this moment.
For sure. So
it's always alive.
Absolutely. So I feel that a good place to really kind of bring that together would be, imagine that there are people talking to us who are sort of on the cusp of just taking that step, and trying to move into that flow, continuous connection of flow in their business. What would be your tip for them? What would be your advice for them?
In the context of business?
Yeah.
Or in the context of, okay.
Well, it's up to you. It's up to you. Sorry, it doesn't need to be business.
Yes.
Just
I would say, you know what? what is the question that I ask often is, what does your spirit gets excited with, and follow that, whether it's in a business context, in a relationship context, in a community context. But what's the price to pay if you don't do it? And usually that scares people, but we need sometimes that kind of fear just to really assess our life.
Skin in the game.
In 1 year, if you were not to change anything in your life, would you like to be at the same place? And most of the time the answer is no.
For sure.
Most of the time the answer is no. Like, there's no way in a year I'm still going to be at that place. And this is a drive. This is like, okay, then what is the path? And then if it comes from a sincere place inside you, a sincere choice, the path opens, and there's a push. There's a push. You get propelled on the path.
100%.
It comes from the sincere answer. Yes.
For sure. And then you're in the flow, and then you're flowing in your gifts and all that you are.
Yes. Beautiful. Then again with the ground, and yes, and there's the path is the path. Every day is a bit different, and we choose what we don't want, and we welcome what we want. And every day we clear our energy. And I'm pretty sure you relate to this. It's a daily practice, daily hygiene to clear our space, to gain clarity, to release what's not in alignment, and to welcome what's in alignment every day. There's not one day that this is not part of my day.
For sure. Beautiful. Yes. Thank you. That's amazing. I feel like you've really just taken us on a journey. Thank you. Not only sharing your own personal journey, but really showing how that grounding leads you to the point of really connecting, and then being able to just flow in your essence and from that place of power and potency. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm super excited because I know you have an amazing gift that you're sharing with my audience. The 90 minutes discovering home within.
Totally. Yeah. So it's 90 minutes of an embodiment practice that will really, really help you connect intimately with your body, create that space to receive these whispers in your body. And it's a practice that you can actually do every day. You don't need to do the 90 minutes every day if you don't have that space, but I would say, half an hour to 90 minutes, and it will shift your day. It will help you ground in your body and operate from that deep sense of safety, of power, of connection to yourself. And you will see that you will be able to clear your days way easier with this type of practice. And this is personally what I practice on a daily basis. So I'm really sharing what I do.
Beautiful.
It's an extract from a 6 months journey that I had with clients. So I extracted a practice that I had offered in there.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that. That sounds incredibly potent, and just so grounding for anybody who's stepping up. So brilliant. Now's the time. Awesome. Thank you, sister. My heart is full, and I'm delighted to have spent this time with you, and just many, many blessings.
Thank you so much, Shirley. And thank you for putting this series together and for allowing people to receive through it. Sending so much love to everybody else. So
fantastic. Thank you.
Bye.